Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Everyone, welcome back to the show. Today I'm here with my buddy Brian Daly. We're going to be talking about how to build an agent machine that kind of feeds you leads and helps you find deals like a referral machine. Brian's been doing this in a massive way in the San Diego market. It's his primary lead source, and it's something that a lot of real estate investors don't focus on at all. Like, we care about relationships or we talk to it, but not truly building a machine that kind of feeds you over and over and over again. So Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. You've done something pretty amazing out there with building relationships with agents, and I know it probably, well, I don't want to steal your thunder yet. Some of this is interesting. Is this a vehicle that works? It could work anywhere, but does it work more in kind of high-end markets like the San Diego market? But let's come back to that. But before we jump in, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your background?
Yeah. So, I think like most guys and gals in the investing space that are my age, Rich Dad Poor Dad is the catalyst that got me intrigued on the real estate game. So I read that when I was 17, and I didn't at that point I didn't say, okay, I want to make a career out of real estate, but I knew that I wanted to invest in rental properties. And I knew that I wanted to flip. I always, even before that book, when I was a kid, I loved the HGTV shows. I love drawing layouts and imagining crazy things you can do with properties. So that was always in the back of my mind. And I love the idea of flips. And at 650 properties later, I still love it. I'm blessed to say that I wake up every day and love what I do, even though I don't necessarily go see the properties as much as I used to. Anyway, fast forward, I was in college, got my real estate license as a junior, started working at a small mortgage shop. That was in 2005. The market, I did everything. I did sales, I did admin, I did marketing. I was just a sponge my main thing getting into the loan side was I wanted to learn the finance side of real estate. I was a numbers guy, and I wanted to understand the math, and that was helpful for sure. The real estate crash and financial crisis of 2007, 2008 happened. I moved over to asset management. I was working for JP Morgan Chase. I was managing a portfolio of foreclosures for them for several years. Incredible transactional experience. I sold 2,000 plus properties over 13 states over that 3-year period, and imagine all of those conversations with real estate agents and title and escrow. I learned it was just a fire hose of information every day. And I got the feeling of how to do real estate at scale. Instead of 1 or 2 flips at a time, how can you do legitimately hundreds of properties, which I think has helped manage the chaos that comes with managing 100 plus flips a year. So that fast forward to when the foreclosure market started drying up, me and a guy that I worked with at the time, we were like, hey, let's do this flip thing. We did that. We started wholesaling, got into flipping. Long story short, at the time we were probably one of the biggest operators in San Diego, and that was over 2000 from 2010 to 2016. But the partnerships are tough, especially when you start at 25 and you don't know what the heck you're doing. I had to leave that partnership at the end of 2016, and I was just it was a 2-year mentally draining exercise before I finally decided the only way out was out. And so I was burnt out from running my own business. I was burnt out from real estate. I just want to take a step back. So I had the opportunity to go be the VP of operations for Darren Hardy, who a lot of people in the space know of. And it was incredibly enlightening, both for learning more and being more confident in myself, but also just a business MBA plus some. He's a smart dude, and he's ahead of his time in many ways. He was operating a fully remote company before Zoom was a thing, and doing it with a culture that was they were just crushers. Everybody on that team was in the right seat and operating 2, 3 times what anybody else, what I've seen before that. So that was a cool experience. 80-90% of the way I operate my business right now is based on what I learned there. Even though we were successful previously, I felt like I gotta level up. And then 2019, I realized that
let me stop you for a second. What are some things you learned there outside of real estate that you kind of brought in that took you to another level?
Good question. Well, one off the bat was just the way that the company was run was remote, and there's a lot of systems and tools and kind of strategies in place for that culture to operate remote, but to still have the connection, to still have the pride in the mission, to still have work ethic. And, since I started this in 2019, we've been remote mostly. I mean, we're in the field. Our field is the office. Like we only do flips. So, but even our local team, you either work from home or you're in the field. We have an office, like I'm in it right now, but there's no one here. Because most of the time people are just working out in the field. Yeah. Being able to operate a remote team, going from in office to remote is tough, but we were remote from the get-go. We were, so that in and of itself is major for us, because obviously with COVID and everything else, it didn't impact us at all.
Yeah.
And now we are kind of, I guess we were ahead of the time, so to speak, for how to operate the business. Personally, I liken this to like reading about and studying Michael Jordan and then getting to play with Michael Jordan. It's different. Like you just get your osmosis. You're around excellence and you absorb excellence and like him or not. And what he does, Darren Hardy, is excellent, and he has high standards, and he's not ashamed of those high standards. I mean, one of the biggest things for setting a culture is setting standards and then holding people to it and holding yourself to it. And I think from just being around him, there's a difference between high achievers and just the average, right? But if I guess, and maybe this is a personal experience, before I was with Darren Hardy, I felt like I was broken. Like I felt like I didn't fit, and it was my problem when I was frustrated or impatient with a lack of execution that I felt like was quality work. And so in the previous company, I would feel these things, but I would hold it back. I wouldn't set those standards. Working with him made me realize, like, no, that's your superpower. Like, you are different, and that's okay. And you need to flush out all the other inputs in your life that make you want to go down to the average, and instead lift everybody up around you to the expectations and standards you have. And again, maybe I had to learn, it took me, I'm stubborn, and it took me a long time. Longer than most people, but I got clear. It's like, no, I'm only going to work with the people that want the standards that I have. If they're not comfortable here, then they're not in the right place, and that's fine. So I think that was a big one.
Maturity thing. I mean, we all know a lot of real estate investors, people that's one of the benefits of being inside of an Investor Fuel as well, is people get to hear of like stories like this, like, hey, I need to level up. Like it's not me thinking too big. It's me not hiring the right people maybe, or not having the right expectations for my team. And so I think it's a business maturity thing, especially in this industry, because we're trying to buy stuff cheap. We're trying to buy materials cheap. We're trying to get cheap labor. Like we're trying to do everything at a discount, right? And then you get to a point where you're like, well, what is that discount costing me if I don't have especially around people and technology and tools sometimes, right? It's like, okay, well, if I hire better quality people, it's not just an expense. It's going to allow me to double the business, for example, if you hire the right, some of the right key players.
Yeah, and just knowing that most of the people around you and the inputs that you're getting, you just got to learn not to let it influence your standards, your expectations, unless it's leveling you up. But it's very easy to get caught up in like they say, you're the culmination of the five people you hang out with the most and the 5 most recent books you read, right? So, getting around good people in a mastermind is a great way to make sure that you have the influences that keep your mental space elevated and not coming down to the average status quo,
So let's talk a little bit about working with agents. Like you've created a machine here where you create relationships with agents to bring you deals in your market. Most of my experience as we talked about up front, is direct-to-seller marketing. I've always been big on relationships too, but it's always been like a backseat to paid marketing, and your backseat maybe is paid direct to seller marketing. It's more of the relationships of agents that you can kind of partner with or can bring you deals or things like that. So let's talk about kind of like why agents, like why you went down that path.
So I'm going to tie back into the asset manager experience. That experience was a crash course in understanding the pain points, the frustrations, the hopes, the dreams of agents. And success in sales and marketing comes down to, how well do you know your customer? I can identify with agents. So for me, and this is very specific, it might not work for everybody, but for me, my strength was talking with real estate agents. So I had a choice when I was restarting this company. I'm like, every real estate agent strategy is entirely different than a direct to seller strategy. It's a different business model entirely. And I knew I had to choose. I couldn't do both. And for me, my superpower was talking with agents, and I didn't require a lot of upfront capital. There's not a lot of time between when the lead comes in and when you get it under contract, because a lot of that, the rapport building, a lot of that hand holding is already done by the time it comes to me. It's now they're ready for an offer. They've already decided that they want the ease of a cash quick close. So you build a relationship, the lead comes in, and if the numbers work, the numbers work, and you can close and move on to the next one without a lot of headaches. So the reason I chose it was because I was uniquely set up as with my background to do it with relatively little investment or people. I mean, it was me and who you know very well, Neva, who started this. And I mean, we started in 2019. We started with the idea that we were going to buy 5 properties. By the end of the year, we bought 25, I think. So that's part of the reason. I mean, the other part of the reason is a real estate agent who's doing this all the time is a lead generation machine. It's like every real estate agent that I partner with that trusts me as a partner, that comes to me when there's an opportunity that fits the service that we provide, is like hiring an outsourced sales rep. And they're out there doing all the work. They're spending the money. They're generating the leads. They're building the rapport. They're holding the hand of the sellers. They're doing all this work, and they're doing it repeatedly. So it's not just one transaction. A direct to seller transaction is most of the time one and done. Where if I do a really good job with a real estate agent, I can then, and I continue to nurture that relationship, and I continue to help them grow their business. They are now one person could generate 2, 3, 4 properties a year or more. I mean, I remember a couple of years we had a couple partners that were 10 plus properties in a year. If you extrapolate that as lifetime value, it's crazy math, because then you got a net present value of cash flows and everything. But it's hundreds of thousands of dollars that are potential from one good relationship.
That's right. Yeah. Why do investors, let me ask you, why do investors work with you? I mean, obviously you make it easier than a traditional retail. And when you're building relationships with them, do you tell them obviously, one of the challenges with a traditional agent is they don't understand buying at a deep discount. Like they think, well, 5% under market value is a deep discount sometimes, right? And so is it only distressed like anything you get that's kind of an ugly house, a distressed property, like bring to me? Or is it positioned mainly as the convenience of a quick sale? Like what's the reason they would come to you? And I know some of the answers here, but versus just go ahead and list it. Is it the quick money? Is it the higher commission? Or what are some of the tools that you use to kind of incentivize them?
Well, I mean, it starts with the motivation of the seller, right? I mean, most of the time, if the seller wants it, has the patience for it, and wants to deal with the hassle of it, yeah, putting on the MLS, you're probably going to get a better offer. But for the majority of the properties that we're buying, I mean, there is some form of motivation, just like it would be on the direct seller side, where the seller wants the ease of a simple transaction, the clarity and confidence that somebody is going to come in and close, or the motivation that they have to, right? They can't play games, and they need it. They need it done. And the nature of the market today, where there's just a lot of straw buyers out there that yank the chain of sellers and real estate agents, to know, like, we don't wholesale, we don't play games. Most of our offers are non-contingent, and we just close and structure the closing around the seller's needs. I mean, we have very little fallout, and that usually when that gets the numbers that we need to get, because they're looking for confidence in someone that's actually going to close. And it's hard to find. A lot of even the very well experienced operators out there still try to wholesale, and that usually means there's some form of renegotiation or struggle within the escrow closing that leaves a bad taste in the mouth of the agent, unless they were very upfront about what they were going to do ahead of time. That all, like, we've been very clear from the get, because our primary avatar is a real estate agent, that we do not wholesale, we do not assign contracts. We, what our offer is solid, especially if it's non-contingent. And if we do write a contingent offer, we're very clear. Like, we don't have, they're telling us to write it before we can do our full inspection, or there's some things that we just don't know and we need further research, like a foundation or a septic or something that we can't figure out in a walkthrough. Mm-hmm. But then we're very clear, like, this is the area of unsurety in our offer, and if something comes up that we're not expecting, then yeah, we're going to have to renegotiate. But if it's clean, then we're ready to go. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, the incentive, because is it?
Oh, the incentive.
There are people in the past, the people that I've known, and maybe you've done some of this. Is like, hey, you incentivize the agent so much that they go back to the seller and kind of convince them why this is a fit. And it could be like, hey, I'm going to allow you to double in the listing. I'm going to pay you a higher commission. I'm going to pay you some sort of incentive above and beyond what you're normally going to get. And so how much of that is them conveying just to the seller, like, hey, this is easier. Your house needs a lot of work and this is what you should do. Or is it like their financial incentives are so good that they just kind of bulldog the sellers to sell the easy route? There's some combination there of like what incentivizes them, and really what incentivizes them to come back to you over and over and over again. And like you said, to get some repeat kind of partners.
So we do offer relist incentives. However, we're very transparent in regards to how we come up with our offer. It is a formula. And every input into that formula adjusts the output, which is the offer. And for whatever reason, maybe we just don't attract the ones that are just out there trying to make the most money for themselves. But for the most part, the real estate agents that we work with are trying to do the best they can do for the seller in the particular situation that the seller's in. And We're very clear. Like, we ask them up front, do you want to relist a property? And if so, what percentage do you want to relist it at? And we're going to put that number into our offer, and we're going to give you the offer based on what you tell us. There's certain things that can change in our offer formula, but repair price, timelines, exit value. Once we do our detailed analysis, there's not much that can move other than that commission. So if it's not good enough for the seller, there's only that commission left to change. So if you want to get the highest dollar amount for your seller, but also make the highest amount of money, you gotta give a little bit. If your seller only needs a certain amount of money and you're comfortable with it, then we're comfortable paying you a larger commission on the back end. You can make as much money as you want, but it's just got to work for the seller. You got to feel good that you're doing a good job for the seller, and that's up to you. Is that?
Yeah,
we're very transparent with our offer formula in regards to
Sure. Yeah. I know you are. So let's talk about like, how do you start, if you had it to do over again, or if you think back to when you did this and kind of going down this path, like, what are some best practices to kind of start building these agent relationships, and then maybe share some things that you do and maybe best practices to kind of nurture these over time so they're not so transactional? Because I have bought houses from agents before, but it was very transactional. Like, I've never saw them again. In many instances, I never even tried to reach out to them again. I just didn't have the right mindset. I think that's probably more common, unfortunately. So kind of share some best practices for like how to just start and then how to maintain relationships over time with.
Well, we've evolved over time for sure.
Sure, yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why you really, we haven't even gone into the direct to seller market, because to continue to do better and better for our referral partners requires more and more investment of time and energy to make it better for them. When I was starting, I was calling on the MLS. Again, I had relationships back from the previous company that helped a lot. But even then, when we started, all we did was go on the MLS, pick up the phone on properties that looked like they needed work, and just start a dialogue. And it was, the mindset shift is it's not about buying that property. It's about creating the relationship with that agent. That's it. That's the biggest thing. Even if I don't buy that property, I don't care, as long as I develop a relationship with that agent that I can build on over time and build trust with, so that the next time they have a property, before they even list it, they'll call me. So that mindset is, then it's just, from a KPI standpoint, from an activity standpoint, it's how many people are you talking to? How many people are you meeting with and breaking bread with over coffee or lunch? And then, going to networking events. And when we started, we held like a lot of networking events. Every time I listed a property, I would have an open house and invite the partners that, it's database marketing, right? Invite them, get face to face, and continue to build that relationship. It's very cost effective. It just takes a little bit of time and thinking and strategy. So to get started, it's not a big expense. It's just activity levels and getting out there and, meeting agents you don't even have to throw networking events. There's a ton of them. Like we have like a dozen on our calendar every single week that we track, and then we try to go. Now over time, it's, as I said, evolved. So I started writing, it was for my own research and my own analysis. I started diving into the data on a weekly basis to track, okay, how many properties are coming on the market, how many are going pending, what's inventory level doing, what's marketing time doing, what are prices doing, right? And I started tracking that because we started making, again, I went from 5 to 25 properties and realized like, oh shit, I got a lot of money out there. We had a lot of investor money. We had a lot of my capital at play. I need to be able to sleep at night knowing that I'm making decisions to buy these properties intelligently, at least with some sort of theory about what's going to happen with the market, and try to be ahead of it instead of reactive. So I did that for a couple of weeks, and in order to clarify my thoughts, I would write down my thoughts, because I mean, for me, that's what I needed to do. The data is very messy, but to actually write down my analysis or my predictions based on that data was clarifying. And I just started, one day I realized like, well, maybe if this is valuable to me, maybe it's valuable to the real estate agents that I'm partnering with. And so I started putting it out there. I think we had a list of like 300 to 500 people at the time. And one of the key things that I did is I started sending it out every single week at the same time every week, so that people started to learn to expect it. And so we call it Real Report now. And I've been writing it since November 2019, every week, minus 2 weeks a year because of holidays. And I still write it to this day. We're now at 5,000 people on our list. We get 45 to 50% open rate on that list. And that allowed me to leverage my time to stay in front of a bunch of people. So I didn't have to call them all the time. But they still knew who I was. The key is it's not Real Report. It's not a We Revive company newsletter. It is not about the company. It is specifically targeted or focused on the market data, which is why I didn't brand it like the We Revive newsletter. I branded it something completely separate, so that it was, when somebody receives it, they're not thinking, oh, I'm getting another piece of marketing information from a company. No, they're getting it's like a mini media company, right?
Yeah. News they can use.
I ripped off Morning Brew quite a bit. I don't know if you follow Morning Brew, but
I have in the past. It's been a long time. I know it actually sold too. I don't know the current status of it even, but
oh yeah, neither do I. I stopped following it, but I would read that every day, and it was a brilliant business model. It was a brilliant newsletter. They didn't write it boring. They had some sarcasm. I just adopted that style. Anyway, that newsletter was a big, has been a major foundational support for that business model of building agents, because it allows me to stay in front of them. I'm adding value every single week. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just adding value. Now, fast forward to today. I mean, we've been doing that for 6 years. We've added on quite a bit. Now I've got a partner development manager who, you're in the business, and most people are in the business will be able to get this analogy. It's like our business model is now like an escrow company. We have our partner development manager. She is just doing business development and customer service. She's out there meeting people, creating new contacts, educating them about We Revive and the services and whatnot that we provide. And then our what we call our partner success reps, they're our acquisition guys. They're like the escrow officers. They're the experts in analysis and running numbers and walking properties and figuring out the best solution for each individual situation. And so now we have like just kind of a machine that, our our acquisition guys are out there meeting people too, but they work together. It's all a big team focused strategy. And we created this whole back end ascension ladder called the VIP Club, or Very Important Partner Club, which whenever we close a transaction with somebody, they get into the VIP Club. And because they're in the VIP Club, they get extra benefits, and then we start tracking how many have we closed with them. And then when they close 3 properties, we send them on vacation. When they close 10 properties, we send them on a bigger vacation. Give them a marketing incentive for every property they close. We have a JV offer for people that are in our VIP club that is better than any JV offer that we offer outside of our VIP club. So we try to elevate the status of the people that do business with us and give them a reason to continue to do business with us, to help them grow their business and make sure that when they do grow their business, they want to keep coming back to us.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Recognition is a big thing. Like, people want to be recognized for their efforts. And I think, probably more or every bit as much in the agent industry, in the realtor industry as anywhere else, like, because a lot of people are isolated out there, right? And they don't necessarily have recognition for their efforts. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. But it's been a big lift, but it's one of the reasons why we're still, we come up with new ways to support our partners every week, it seems like, and we never have enough time to do it, which is why we've continued to lean in and focus. It's like we're going deeper in that well instead of wider.
Yeah. That's great. I think that's one of the challenges that probably a lot of entrepreneurs, not just real estate investors, have, is they have an idea, but they don't take it far enough, and they give up too early. And so I use this phrase all the time about playing the long game. And I think you've proven that with this strategy, is like, you got to be committed to it. You got to commit resources to it. You got to commit time and money to it. And just, you know a lot more now than you did when you started it, 6-7 years ago. And you just have to go in with imperfect knowledge and keep learning and keep evolving and keep making it better and better. And essentially, like, make it work. Like, you just have to never give up.
Well, and we've tried the direct seller route, and probably the same problem that people have with implementing a partner strategy after they already have the direct seller machine. It's a lot of work to get started, especially nowadays. Like, we're in San Diego, one of the most competitive markets in the country as it relates to this space. Being able to compete against the entrenched people that have dialed in direct seller machines is hard. And we've had 2 times where we started and stopped because we didn't have we realized when we started, our partner, the service and attention that we were giving our partner strategy started to wane, and we felt the effects of that. And we're like, well, do we really need to go dig another well? Or is there still plenty to mine left in this well? And we continue to find that it is much more cost effective, higher ROI, higher enjoyment to continue to dig this well. Now, at some point, and we're doing it again, R&D, we're not putting a lot of pressure on it, but we're starting on the direct seller again. But I think we finally got to the point where we have a snowball of a machine that we feel like we have the right people in the right seats, and it's got the momentum on its own, where it doesn't require as much as my time. So now I can go do R&D somewhere else slowly and try to see if we can dig another well.
Yep.
But it's an investment.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Brian, kudos to you for all the effort you put in there. Looking forward to seeing you here soon out in San Diego for Investor Fuel coming up. If folks want to connect with you, they want to get on the list for Real Report, they're an agent or somebody that wants to work with Revive out in San Diego, like, if they want to connect with you one way or another, tell us where they can go.
I think these days, the best way is to find We Revive on Instagram, and it's just We Revive, I think, _ because it wasn't available without the underscore. Or I'm on Instagram as well. We've got on there, we've got link trees to resources for everything, including Real Report and everything else. And my Instagram handle is Brian C. Daly.
We'll find links for everything and share it in the show notes here. So
perfect.
So everybody can find us. So thanks again for joining us today. Thanks for sharing your strategy. I think, my model is different, and everybody has a little bit of a different model, but I do believe very heavily in the relationship side of the business. Very much, it can take your business to another level. Even if you're doing direct to seller marketing or you find some other way, like, there's a ton of people out there that value relationships that you can build in business. And so for anybody, hopefully you got some good insights from today. maybe doing things the way that Brian does it, but if you want to do it a different way, like there's a lot of different approaches. You just got to make your own approach for how you can build and nurture relationships over time. And I think probably more than ever because of social media, and it was accelerated through COVID and all these things where people are connected to, you ever hear somebody say like, we're friends on Facebook? And I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't really carry a lot of weight alone. Right. And it's like, okay, but I'm into real relationships ultimately. So real relationships can help you take your business to a level that you never thought it could get to. So thanks again, Brian, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, buddy.
See you, buddy.
Everybody check out some of the links we're going to share down below for how you can learn about Brian and his companies and access to Real Report and things like that. So appreciate you guys. Hope you got a ton of value today. See you on the next show.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.